190 first appeared in 1941, it quickly established itself as the dominant fighter on the Western Front. The RAF desperately needed a replacement for the Spitfire Mark V, but there was clearly no time to develop an entirely new fighter. Fortunately, Rolls-Royce had just finished work on a next-generation power plant, the Merlin 61, which could be readied for service with a minimum delay. This engine featured a new two-speed, two-stage supercharger, which boosted the Spitfire's maximum power and the altitudes at which that power could be maintained. The resulting aircraft, the Spitfire Mark IX, exhibited vastly improved performance and was considered by many to be the finest Spitfire of the war. The aircraft you see here was powered by a Merlin 63, which had a maximum rating of 1,650 horsepower. The G6 featured a basic armament of two nose-mounted 13mm MG-1, 13mm MG-1, 13mm MG-131 machine guns, as well as a single lightweight 30mm Mk-108 cannon firing through the air screw. Over the course of the war, the Luftwaffe was forced to steadily increase the firepower of its fighters. Unfortunately, the basic design of the 109 stressed a light airframe with thin wings that were unsuitable for housing internal guns of any significant size. As a compromise, some 109s were provided with the means to carry gun pods under the wings. In addition, a field conversion kit allowed the Gustav to carry one centerline 250-kilogram bomb. Despite a superb low-drag airframe and revolutionary laminar flow wings, the original Allison-powered Mustang was too slow to compete with German single-seat fighters, especially at altitudes over 12,000 feet. British test pilots suggested that the Allison be replaced by the same Rolls-Royce Merlin engine powering RAF Spitfires and Hurricanes. This liquid-cooled 12-cylinder engine had a two-stage supercharger that provided the necessary power for high-altitude combat. Several Merlin-powered Mustangs were tested, and the results were favorable. The P-51D you see here was powered by a 1,590 horsepower American-built Packard Merlin engine. When introduced into combat in July of 1941, the Focke-Wulf 190 proved itself superior to contemporary British fighters and provided the Luftwaffe with a substantial, if brief, competitive edge. At the heart of the fighter was the BMW 801, a 14-cylinder radial engine that was chosen less for its ability than the fact that it could be made available in large numbers. Nonetheless, the 190's excellent performance quickly dispelled the myth that a bulky radial engine couldn't be made to compete with the sleeker inline liquid-cooled engines of the day. The 801D engine in this A8 variant was rated at 1,700 horsepower at takeoff. The engine was further assisted by a GM1 nitrous oxide booster, which provided higher compression and increased power in short bursts. P-47 was the only single-seat Army airplane to use the Pratt & Whitney R2800 double wasp radial engine. 73 inches long and over 52 inches in diameter, the R2800 weighed over a ton. The 18 cylinders you see here could produce 2,300 horsepower at takeoff. A two-stage supercharger gave the P-47 excellent high-altitude performance. However, by 1944, the Thunderbolt was usually relegated to the ground attack role. Here, the rugged double wasp proved itself an invaluable asset. Whereas airplanes powered by liquid-cooled engines could be brought down with a single shot to the radiator, the air-cooled Thunderbolt was better able to weather the small arms fire and flying debris encountered at low altitudes. Of an air superiority fighter, the Me-262 carried a very heavy armament of 4 30mm Mk-108 cannons. Attempts were also made to arm the jet with 12 R-4M air-to-air rockets under each wing. The results proved this to be a perfect marriage of weapon and platform. However, the rockets, like the jets themselves, were never manufactured in great enough quantities to affect the course of the war. When configured as a fighter bomber, only the upper two cannons were fitted onto the airplane. Centerline racks allowed the airplane to carry two 250-kilogram bombs. The original 1937 specifications for the Lightning called for a high-altitude fighter capable of long, full-throttle endurance at 20,000 feet. At the time, no single power plant existed which could fulfill this extraordinary performance demand. Lockheed's solution was to increase the number of engines and house them in an unusual twin-boom airframe. The resulting fighter, powered by two 1,425-horsepower Allison inline engines, was heavier than many light bombers of the day. However, the fork-tailed configuration offered unforeseen advantages, providing ample space for radiators, superchargers, main landing gear, and weapons. Though not as maneuverable as the top German fighters of the day, the Lightning delivered on its promise of superior combat range. When carrying two 360-gallon drop tanks, the P-38J had a range of 2,300 miles, with an allowance for 10 minutes of dogfighting.